Oh, yes, everybody. This is the Flex Network. I am cupping and serenading the close-up cam here.
That's almost like a fondle, Matt. Let's call it what it is.
Yes, I have technique. The art of the fondle is something I've mastered over times. Back again for our week. What is this? What week are we in right here, right now?
7.
Week number 7.
I know.
With our Flex Finder Week 7 cast, joined as always in the top left corner of this podcast, one at Seeley_Shane. What's going on? How was Canadian life today?
Oh man, Canadian life's always good. It's fall is, it's funny. We've had nicer weather now than we had pretty much in all of September. So I'm going to take it any day of the week.
Is that a Canada thing or is that just a random
That's
act of
just a messed up random thing.
And always underneath me, he is DFS Army's season-long says. Catch him at Alan SES Low Sky 1. Alan says Lowski. What's going on in Florida today, brother? High heat? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, what's it called? I work in a middle school, and we had off today because of the planning day. So no screaming, yelling, bratty kids. All business, all day to think about the Flex Network pod. Been researching topics galore, and what a life of leisure I'm living today. It felt so good.
I think that's Dynasty Vince. What's going on, Vince? Vince was our guest.
What up, brother?
This is him. I'm hoping this is him. I'm going to put him over right now if it's not him. But we had a very awesome Flex Finder podcast from last week. Dynasty Vince came through real big for us last week. Hopefully we can get him on camera.
Vince was a particularly good guest, I have to say. I really enjoyed talking with him. I thought his football acumen was superior, and I liked his vibe. He was definitely a good addition. So great find by you guys to get him on the pod.
Yes, thank you. Vince was awesome guest. Go back and watch that cast. Vince slayed it, and he will come on again and slay it again for us. But just first of all,
again.
Again, it's me, bro. Just say what's up. What's up, Vince? Yeah, that's him. Knew it.
Love it.
Oh, he's gonna cry now. No, don't cry, Vince. Now, Vince is, and I will just say this: Vince is pioneering the taxi squad in our Dynasty League. We have talked about it since Vince's externation, if that's a word from the cast. Taxi squads are a thing. I've heard a lot about them. I want to introduce them at Seeley_Shane's quite a maniacal member of the spreadsheet.
But Matt, what's good is that just to back up for anyone watching, what Taxi Squad is if you're in a dynasty football league, it is a place to store the rookie players that you draft that aren't quite ready for your active roster. And the Sleeper app, which we use to host our fantasy football, actually has Taxi Squad capability. So when you draft guys, you could just leave them on the Taxi Squad. I mean, we can get into the nuances of Taxi Squad, but we don't even need a spreadsheet for that anymore.
Also, guys, next week we are hoping to, we were trying to get him on this week, didn't work, but next week we are hoping to get a replay official from the Chicago Bears here live and in person. Go ahead, Seth.
With our friend Shane possibly not being here next week, we may we'll have him in the next 2 weeks for sure. We just want to decide when we want to do it. He's ours in the next 2 weeks, so it's happening. We just have to decide which week we want to do it.
That's right. Flex Shane may not be here next week, so we might not rock him next week, but there's always more room for Dynasty Vince to come back and take Shane's spot if he would like.
Just don't replace my ass, Vince, please. Unless don't outshine me, man. I kind of like this gig.
Unless he could sort all that data that Roster Watch gave to you last week, he's not getting the job.
Boom.
Not getting the job, but we love him all the same. Let's first get into the arousing topic of the week. Patty Mahomes not only goes down, but goes down quite gruesomely to a point. Now, he's such a tough competitor. I mean, not only did he get it popped, it seemed like they relocated his knee, but he is going to be out for a couple weeks. Can we just
call it what it was? Can we just call it what it was? It was a stupid play by the Chiefs. Like we already knew that Patrick Mahomes has been dealing with that ankle injury, excuse me, since what, like week 2,
Right.
And he pretty much is re-aggravating it every single game, and they go for a QB sneak. Like I get it, it's a high efficiency play, but it's dumb, right? Like it's such a now kind of decision, and it drives me absolutely nuts.
Yeah,
and I may or may not own Patrick Mahomes in a very important league of ours.
Yeah, they don't have a running game to speak of. So I mean,
it's horrible.
Well, and also it's like, think about Belichick, who is the GOAT of a coach, and he does that Brady sneak 4 times a game. It feels like he even did one from the 4-yard line, not even like the 1-yard line. So when it comes to
last week, Al, I think Brady had his most rushing attempts last week against the Giants.
Right. I'm just saying is that good coach. I don't want to definitely do the Andy Reid pile-on thing, where I think that, I mean, you do have to take that into consideration, but you do need to win football games. And I mean, it just didn't turn out well. It was kind of a freak thing, but if you own Patrick Mahomes, you're certainly on tilt. And specifically my large bet that we made, the Geek and I, the $1,000 bet where we had a bunch of people chip in, that's over. We lost.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Go ahead, Says. Break it down again. Patrick Mahomes over, was it 39.5 touchdowns?
35.5 touchdowns.
35.5 touchdown bet.
We were on pace. Obviously, the first couple of weeks we were on fire. And then we only needed, even after the small drought he had, we only needed 2.38 touchdowns per game. We got one in the first quarter. We were ready to rock, and it's over. I mean, if he's out 3-4 weeks, I mean, there's no way we can come back from that. He would need like a 5 touchdown a game pace if he came back.
Right.
There's no way.
That is devastating. That is devastating. So dynasty owners, are we going out there right now and nabbing up Matt Moore? Or are we just hoping that we did well enough to secure the position on his absence? Says
Matt Moore is obviously only in play in Superflex leagues. I wouldn't expect much from him in 1 QB leagues. If it's a 1 QB league and you're absolutely desperate during the bye week, QB has been a little bit of a wrecking ball this year. Sure, you could put him in there, but I wouldn't expect more than like 11 to 13 fantasy points a week from him. I just don't. I don't see it. I mean, people talked about the Chiefs going out to maybe acquiring a quarterback to fill in until Pat Mahomes gets there. Marcus Mariota's name keeps coming up. I've seen some non-serious options being floated all over Twitter, but I wouldn't rush out to get Matt Moore in Superflex. Obviously, sure, any quarterback with a pulse is live. What do you think, Shane?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, really what it comes down to is the Kansas City Chiefs still have a pretty electric offense, right? And like you saw, Tyreek Hill still took that one to the house with Matt Moore. So,
which was a great pass.
Oh yeah,
which was a phenomenal pass. They were talking about it all while the play happened. Seemed like it was a simple cross route that Tyreek Hill decided himself to turn it upfield. Matt Moore, understood to go ahead and launch it downfield, which is a play that has to be made within a snap second call as the defensive line's coming at you. He can play quarterback. He's no Kyle Allen. He's no Kyle Allen.
Did you hear the announcer story about like where Moore was in the preseason? Like he was interning, for lack of a better word, as a scout for the Miami Dolphins. He was actually at the combine this year as scouting for the Dolphins, and the Chiefs gave him a call last minute and said, "Hey, you want to come here and back up Mahomes?" And so he left his job as a newly acquired scout by the Dolphins to go take this backup job, and now he's basically going to be playing real football.
Well, on my take, and this is my real take, it literally has to happen like this. Somebody like a Patrick Mahomes has to go down for Russell Wilson to get the type of respect that he honestly has been completely deserving of since he has taken over the starting job as a quarterback. Russell Wilson's going to be the MVP this year as long as he keeps on the pace that he's on.
Well,
and Patrick Mahomes, I mean, yeah, he's great and he's stellar, but he's not. I don't know. He's not Russell Wilson. I mean, look at the way Russell plays the quarterback's position.
Well, one thing, Matt, I want to
Mr. Consistency here.
Yeah, actually, Vegas agrees with you. Even before the Pat Mahomes injury, after last week, Russell Wilson became the favorite. The odds shifted. He became even money for MVP. And I took a look at it before we got on the podcast. Now he's a heavy favorite with Mahomes out. I mean, it's basically it's negative. I think it's like minus 180 now to take Russell Wilson, or minus 220, something like that. But yeah, Vegas agreed with your sentiment that he was the favorite even before the Mahomes injury.
Now, go ahead, Shane, please.
Well, I was going to say, so what about all these surrounding players, right? Like, I think Tyreek Hill is still a guy you play every single week. You don't look at the matchups, you play Tyreek Hill. But at this point, I mean, McCole Hardman had a pretty decent game last night. I think he put up like 9.5 points in a PPR, which is, it's serviceable, right? If you're playing him in a flex role.
Definitely serviceable. It was kind of surprising almost. I know that Sammy Watkins is out, but
Watkins
still
has been out. See that, and that's kind of the issue with these Chiefs receivers, and it's been this way all season. It's that somebody's going to go off or somebody's going to have a great game. We just never knew who it was going to be, and now we worry about, okay, Tyreek Hill. Yeah, you're plugging and playing him every week, but other than maybe a flex consideration, at this point, I would say these wide receivers are going to be dicey. Even Sammy Watkins when and if he actually comes back healthy. And then the rushing game. Like, I sat Damian Williams last night. I kept him on my bench because I just didn't trust him, and I'm glad I did.
I'm upset about that.
You're upset about? Oh, because you had to play him in a league.
Yes, I had to play him in a league. Yeah. But yes, you're right. LeSean McCoy looks really good.
He looks good, right? Like, he looks healthy. And you know what I think it is because he's not doing like the traditional running into the box, right? It seems like he's trying to do like the shifty, avoiding the contact, and maybe he's going to keep him healthy. The problem is that it's not really resulting in a lot of consistent yards. And going back to your point, Matt, they're not just using him either. Right. So it's almost like they've got no running game to think of. Now they don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball. I think I can't remember what it was last night, but the stat was something like they were like definitely first in the league in terms of their run versus pass plays. It was almost like 80 or 90%. I want to say it was some crazy number. Yeah. Pass plays. That's obviously going to change.
It's got to change now.
Yeah. But my risk is that, they're going to say, okay, we're going to dare Matt Moore they'll double cover Tyreek Hill. They'll dare Matt Moore to pass the ball, and they'll stack the box.
Yep. Now, Kelsey gets a bump up in a position like this.
Yes.
Somebody that can take the ball pretty much everywhere on the field, deep down, over the middle, short, tight end screens. I mean, I think someone like Kelsey gets a clear bump. And also, like you said, the run game, I think.
You bring up an interesting point. Like, you think Kelsey's going to go up. If we were redrafting today, you know me, I always like to start a sentence like that.
Okay, yes.
I mean, Kelsey's like tight end 6 on the year right now, I think. I mean, we're halfway through the season. We're halfway through the fantasy season. Where do you think Kelsey would be drafted right now, knowing Mahomes is out? We're doing our draft tonight, just say.
Doing your draft tonight?
Yeah, just say like we're drafting tonight for the rest of the season.
Right.
Would any tight end be drafted early in round 5?
Yes.
Now I love this scenario. Early in round 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think Austin Hooper is for real. He gets his every week. I think.
I like Austin Hooper.
At the end of round 3. I mean, listen, it is Austin Hooper. Tight ends generally break out in round 3 in year 3. I mean, he's in year 4, so it's it's not that different of a breakout. He's already pretty good. He's just he gets his every single week.
Well, yeah, and what I think the difference there, though, what held back his breakout last year was Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley doing so much better last year than he has been this year, which could, the vacation of just all offense going the way of Hooper this year.
Yeah, I mean, Hooper would, I think, to answer Shane's question, I think Hooper would be a savvy pick in the end of round 3, maybe the 3-4 turn, but his point is well taken. Travis Kelce, I'm looking up right now, is tight end 4 on the year. Basically, the top 3 tight ends are Austin Hooper, Mark Andrews, and Darren Waller. And Darren Waller hasn't even scored a touchdown yet. I mean, imagine when he starts getting into the end zone, he would probably be tight end 1.
Wow. Yeah, let's talk about another injury and talk about how, for me, it seems like LeSean McCoy is only going to produce at a high level within one area. And that's in an Andy Reid offense.
Yep.
He just seems to love being there. He wants to be there. Now let's talk about someone who is also coming up and filling in for somebody who is injured, who loves being back in Seattle. Luke Wilson. Okay, Will Dissly going down, likely for the entire year. I mean, I think that's been known that he's out for the year. Luke Wilson back in Seattle. Did not do too well outside of Seattle, back in Seattle, back in front of the 12s. What do we think about Luke Wilson's upside in Dynasty, tight end premiums, anything like that? Look at these stats. 6'5", 251, runs a 4.56.
Luke Wilson's a guy that I had in a lot of Dynasty last season, and I ended up dropping him because he was kind of he didn't have a team, and he just didn't really produce. And that's why it's so frustrating, to see Will Dissly actually go and do what he did, was the fact that you had a guy like Luke Wilson, who he's a fan favorite, he's an athletic freak, and
you know what the key is, and says, I think you can chime in on this too. If you're looking at this screen right here, what is the one discerning key factor as why Luke Wilson wasn't or isn't a top flight tight end? His age? No.
His golden blonde hair.
It's not blonde in this photo that I just asked you to look at. Says,
yeah.
What is it?
His Lions jersey in this photo.
His fifth round draft capital. Okay.
I mean, does that mean
when he's drafted? It means when he's drafted in the 5th round, and he can be your backup tight end while you let some other guys that maybe someone else drafted earlier, more pedigree, whatever it is. This guy's just not getting the opportunity. He's really not. And he's in offenses that don't feature the tight end.
I mean, Will Dissly did just fine in that offense. Darren Waller did just fine.
Dissly did, sure. Yeah. But Jimmy Graham also 10 touchdowns. It's a position that somebody can succeed in.
Maybe it's just not Luke given Wilson the full, sucks. Is that a possibility?
It is possible. It is possible that Luke Wilson sucks, but I'd rather think, on the contrary, that he's just not getting the opportunities. When you look at stats, metrics, and all of that, you could only go so far with stats and metrics. Without opportunity, it means nothing. Means absolutely nothing.
I mean, he just strikes me as just a guy, man. I mean, he's like, good enough to make an NFL roster, thrust into a role as a backup tight end. There's a couple good tight ends in the 2020 class that I'm sure Seattle is going to be interested in. Maybe even I have to see who's a free agent next year. But are they? I was to say
there's a lot of talk about Seattle Seahawks being a player for Tyler Eifert in trade.
Yeah, again, that's just a broken veteran at this point.
What has he done? He's done nothing.
Well, he's fine.
Yeah, but that's the Patriot way. Patriots also heard to be rumored in the Tyler Eifert market.
No, Patriots. The Patriots should go after. They need a tight end, OJ Howard. It doesn't seem like Tampa needs him or wants him.
Oh my gosh! Everybody should be going after.
That makes me really.
But I'm just saying, is OJ Howard not scream Patriot? Like the Patriots would know exactly how to use him. He's just. I mean, if Tampa doesn't want to use him, I think that they can get a 2nd round pick for OJ Howard. They paid a 1st. They can get a 2nd back. He just screams Patriot to me.
What are you buying? Are you buying at all? Let's talk about dynasty buys. Are you buying OJ Howard at all right now?
I mean, if the price is right. I mean, it's funny you say that because I'm in my home dynasty league right now. I was kind of just twirling. I'm in a situation where I'm probably not gonna be a contender. So I have George Kittle. So I was thinking about can I sell George Kittle for like OJ Howard in a 1st? Like would the other owner do that? You know what I'm saying? He's not starting OJ Howard. So
don't you feel like a lot of these OJ Howard owners though, like they're like it's gonna happen. So they're
right, but
they're reluctant to let him go.
But if they could turn OJ Howard, say for example, upgrade him to a George Kittle and give up their 2021st, which is going to be a late 2021st, if that's like the missing piece, maybe they're looking to get out from OJ Howard, and it's only going to cost them pick 11. Because I was looking through the 2020 class today. I was, again, I had my day off. I was doing some research, and again, things are going to change. Things are going to move around, and landing spot's going to determine a lot. But I see 5 elite picks. After 5, it starts getting a little dicier. Now it's deep. It goes. I see about 20 playable.
You're talking
players.
About with the tight end class in general.
I'm just talking about the total
class. The 2020 class. There's only
correct.
5 elite picks, huh?
5 elite picks, the way I'm looking at it right now, but 20 very playable guys. Like, you'd be happy to get anyone in the top 20 as like, okay, this guy's going to at least be
everyday starter,
my wide receiver 3, a good depth piece, just something. So what I'm saying is, if you could acquire OJ Howard and give up a late 2020 first, pick 10, pick 11, pick 12, that's really what, the debate we're having. So I still believe in him. I just think, the talent. I mean, last year he killed it on yards after the catch. It was there. They're just not, like you said a minute ago, opportunity. He's not getting it.
Well, let's talk about opportunity. So go ahead,
Shane. Before we change the topic away from tight ends.
I'm not. I'm keeping the topic at tight end.
Okay, I just want to bring this one guy up. We talked about redrafting today. Where would Hunter Henry fall?
Well, that's who I was going to talk about, Shane. Thanks for stealing absolutely all of my thunder.
No, just means we're on the same wavelength, Matt. Perfect.
Well, upon the same wavelength, you would have to draft Hunter Henry real early. And mainly, it's the type of opportunity in that offense. They are a tight end friendly offense. Yep. Just like Patrick Mahomes passing to Kelsey, just like Kittle seems to be getting the only offense in San Francisco outside of the running backs. I mean, those are offenses we can buy them actually utilizing the tight end.
So let's answer that question. Where you said early, how early would you take Hunter Henry in a regular tight end league?
Now, are we saying he's a healthy Hunter Henry?
No, you're saying
are we saying right now?
We're saying right now what you see is what you get. It could be it could be a Scatman Crothers,
Don't be like that.
A Scatman Crothers. Yeah, God, with the Scatman thing again. Second, he would be the second tight end off the board to me.
Ooh, I disagree.
Outside of, the third. Sorry. It would have to be Kelsey Kittle, and then it would go right to Hunter Henry. For me, I'm a Hunter Henry truther. I've got him on every one of my teams. Every single one of my teams, I've got him on.
How about you? What number tight end would you take him?
And probably 3 or 4, top 3 or 4, like similar to where he was being drafted before.
Would you take Austin Hooper before
him? Depends on the type of league. If it's a PP, like if it's a tight end premium.
No, tight end. The league that most people play in is one tight end PPR.
Regular one. No, I would probably take Hunter Henry over Austin Hooper. It'd be close though. It would be like if I'm in like round 4, because I wouldn't take a tight end early in round 3 anyways right now. But say it's round 4, whoever fell to me, I would probably take.
How about Waller? Darren Waller.
Same thing. Well, I mean, Oakland believed in him. They just extended him for.
Yeah, but before him getting signed, even at his production right now, he would be the one I would be out on at the top. But after the signing, I think he's in line there.
You saw the Jared Cook usage last year. I mean, like Oakland basically rejuvenated the Jared Cook career. He was better off in Oakland than he is in freaking New Orleans right now.
Yeah. I mean,
that's Drew Brees too. Drew, again, and that's the type of offense that a tight end can survive in. That's why Jared Cook was drafted so high this year, because Drew Brees knows how to find his tight ends down the seam. Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater hasn't. I had to drop Jared Cook last week. Pained me to do it. Pained me. But in a single tight end league, when you drafted Hunter Henry in the 5th or 6th round,
you should feel relieved, not pained by that.
Well, it pained me because I was literally picking up Willie Snead. You know what I mean? Because it just pained me. It pained me so hard. But obviously,
because Vince had Snead as like one of his flex plays last week.
Well, no, I had Snead already picked up in the league to play before Vince, but Vince, with his all majesty, went with the Willie Snead pick here, and we got Sully here. The champ is here. He is no longer going to be the champ in any leagues. Hey, if Sully doesn't have 5 draft picks in the first and second round, this guy's garbage. This guy doesn't know how to draft at all. I got a bet with Sully. I got a bet with Sully. Sully says if he could win both the Flex Network listener, if he can win in both of the Flex Network listener leagues this week, we have to change our name on Twitter for 1 week to Sully from Houston Network. So, and maybe since you're gone this week, Shane, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll push the referee to the next week if Sully wins. But I looked at his matchups; it's close. Whenever I could bet if Sully's going to play the right guy or not, I bet against it. So there you go.
Freaking whale, man. I just can't get over him actually, frankly, in any league, it seems like.
So before we get to our flex plays, let's talk about a couple dynasty buys. And I got a real good one here for you. Okay. As the king of dynasty fantasy football, and drafting Gardner Minshew in the 5th round as my greatest pick that I do. What does somebody like me pay for Nick Foles in Dynasty Superflex?
Man, that's tough, right? Like what would you be willing to pay? Probably
what
no more.
Should I pay? What should somebody pay with Gardner Minshew who doesn't own Nick Foles in a Superflex?
I mean, what's it called? Are we thinking that he's going to take Nick Foles' job? I don't think so. The minute Nick Foles comes back, I mean, that's who's playing.
I highly doubt that. There's no way that you can put Gardner Minshew that has looked good, that has won games, who's a rookie.
I'll bet the base rate.
Here's the thing, right? We talked about it last week on this very podcast. That last week against the Saints was going to be a big test. And he got a big old D on that test, man.
Yeah, what's it called? Nick Foles has played in big games, and I like Minshew, but the base rate says guys drafted in the 5th, 6th round, it's just not going to work out. You always want to bet the base rate. And I was, even like last week, I said to him, oh, Minshew has crossed over into that like circle of trust a little bit for me as a starting QB, but I changed my opinion. And not just, it was just one game, but he looked like a QB that could have a few good games, but just not over the long stretch. I won't be surprised if he has a good game here and there anymore. But when Nick Foles comes back, I mean, they owe him like $23 million over the next 2 seasons per season, something like that. Like he's playing. They can't get out from that. If they are smart, Jacksonville, they paid a 6th round pick for him. The minute he has a good game and Foles comes back, try to get a 2nd round pick for him. That's what I would do.
So Matt, to Al's point though, if you got the chew and you're trying to get Nick Foles, see if you can offer like a 3rd rounder and maybe you try to sweeten it to a 2nd rounder because the owner might actually.
Yeah, and Superflex.
Yeah, and so we're talking about Superflex here. Yeah, I mean because then the owner might be like, maybe Gardner Minshew is going to be the starting quarterback,
right?
And they've got 2 years on his deal left, so they're probably going to keep him because there's a value to having a high performing backup. Which, again, wouldn't it just be hilarious if Nick Foles just becomes like the best backup in history?
It's not going to happen. I would bet. I would bet totally against that. I think a team is going to his value will never be higher than it is after those last 3 games. Obviously, you need to play him right now. But when Nick Foles comes back, if his value is still sustained about where it is, and somebody offers you a 2, you take it. So for your purposes, I think you could sneak in and get him a 3. So I'm like, hey, I just want the backup guy to my guy. Like that was.
Here's the thing. Matt, you go after this game against Cincinnati where Minshew just has a friggin' ball of a game and
a monster.
He just has a monster. And that's when you go to the Foles owner and be like, hey, dude, are you willing to trade Foles to me for a 3rd? Gardner Minshew is going to be the starter. And you try to play that angle.
Okay, I'm gonna buy Gardner Minshew. That's what I'm gonna do. So here we go. Gardner Minshew against let's say this, okay? There is one quarterback in the league right now, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league right now, who has not surpassed a 300-yard game this year at all. Name him. Go ahead. Go ahead. Name him. Name the guy.
I'm trying to think here.
Wait, what starting quarterback hasn't had a 300?
What starting quarterback that is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league this year has yet to have a 300-yard passing game? Aaron Rodgers. He has 2 games under 200 yards.
Is it Aaron Rodgers?
one to a defense of just not very good. Not Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead. Who's next?
I was going to say Kirk Cousins before last week, though.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G. But
Jimmy
you know what?
G has not surpassed 300 yards in an NFL football game this year. Gardner Minshew put up 374 yards and 2 touchdowns against Carolina's defense, which is known to be a hard-hitting defense. Not necessarily great all the way around anymore, but yeah, Jimmy G had his best game against Cincinnati. 25 attempts, 17 completions, 296 yards only, while he had 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. So let's put this week as a benchmark for Gardner Minshew. What happens if he comes out and destroys Cincinnati, puts up a 4-touchdown monster? Are you buying in then, or are you still saying, okay, sell high at that point and get out? I mean, how much does this guy have to do to show to you guys that he is the QB1 in Jacksonville? How much? Now let me tell you guys something else. The Jacksonville Jaguars, what you might not know in pop culture right now, are a really, really, really big deal. Okay? Shad Khan's son, Tony Khan, is going up against WWE as the first professional wrestling network outside of WWE to be on television. They're known for that, and they're known for the Mustache Mountain Ride, Gardner Minshew. And you really think they're going to go back to Old Faithful Nick Foles when Gardner Minshew is putting up 300-yard games against NFL defenses and winning games?
But he's not really winning games. They're 2-4.
He's winning games. I mean, they're in turmoil. That whole entire team's in turmoil right now, losing Ramsey. They just picked up 2 first-round draft picks. They got their quarterback of the future.
Oof.
They got their quarterback of
Ryan
the future.
Shouting out to us from Periscope.
Anyway, Gardner Minshew is my dynasty buy. And if you really think that, then the guy who has Nick Foles should take a 3rd-round pick for him. Don't you think? 3rd rounder for Nick Foles, giving him up, hasn't played, don't know what he's going to be, came up off the street last year, had a couple good games. What do you think?
I think it's fair.
Yeah, I think it's a
I think it's fair.
It's a fair. I just don't, again, if you got to sell them on the fact that the 2020 class is deep, there'll still be good players in the 3rd round. I think that's the pitch.
There you go.
Says, hit me with your dynasty buy, please.
Dynasty buy.
Gardner Minshew should. Okay, or sell or hold.
Okay, I thought we were doing flex plays. Okay, no, that's fine. I'm good with with dicey buys. And and what you're talking about Minshew, it's interesting. I don't think it's clear cut. I think it's pretty interesting. So, dynasty buys. Now, this name might surprise you a little bit.
If I'm starts it up. Now, let me tell you something, guys.
Right. Because normally we talk about these young ascending players that we can get before they break out. We talked about Cortland Sutton a couple weeks ago. I actually talked about I actually bought him in a league. But this one is kind of going the opposite way a little bit. I'm talking about which veterans, if you're a contending team, would make sense if you're like one player away. And I was thinking, if you're one of the
I want this answer. Hold on. Are you leaving it up for us to guess?
You talking to me?
Yeah. Are you leaving it up for us to guess?
Oh, no,
guess who the veteran is that might, if you're 1 win away from winning. What do you think?
It's a running back.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Alshon Jeffrey.
Alshon Jeffrey.
Yes. I was thinking Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, actually, he would be my second buy.
Right now, Matt. Seriously,
no, you guys are in sync. No, and that's a really smart, savvy buy. He'd be like if he's your wide receiver 3 in Dynasty, that'd be like perfect, But
and Kupp is your wide receiver 2.
He's like a bad word in Dynasty, man. Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, well, you know what it is,
weight side.
And he's gettable too, Alshon Jeffrey. I don't want to sway too much from where I was talking about, but Devonta Freeman. Now, if you're, if you offer somebody, if you're a contending team, you're going to get picked 10, 11, 12, and you offer someone your 2021st, would you give? And you're like one player away, and you're a contending team, would you give up your 2021st for Devonta Freeman? Who is now he's under contract for the rest of this year. Next year, his contract balloons up to $6 million, still palatable for a pretty good running back. Now in 2021, it balloons up to $8 million. So that's
Is he going to be traded though in the offseason, you think?
No,
You think that
'cause
there's
no one's-
somebody else that might go after him for a second
No.
rounder?
I don't think so, because I think that their champ, even though Atlanta's had a really bad year, their championship window is open. It closes quickly. Their line has got completely banged up. Their 2 draft picks that they got in the first round, the offensive
Their
line.
defense is so banged up
Right.
too.
So
they got
they're-
stellar safety, stellar middle linebacker out
Right.
all the
And
time.
what I was going to say is that their defense is so bad right now that I assume that they'll spend the first 2, maybe even 3 round picks in the real draft on defense. And I think Devonta Freeman is, hashtag safe for, a couple of years here, a couple of year window. So Devonta Freeman could be a very interesting buy for Dynasty for a contending team.
Let me ask you a question. Are you afraid if you go and buy Devonta Freeman that just like this year, you're going to have to contend with Ito Smith is a better running back. This guy's there was like 3 names coming out of the Brian Hill, I think.
Yeah, now that certainly happened
Quandre Olsen.
Right.
Quandre Olsen.
Right. Now that happened in the first, couple games. They were splitting carries or touches, but in the last 3 games, they've just fed him the ball. I mean, they've paid for him already, so they're not any load management. They're giving him the ball. He had like 9 catches the other day. I mean, it's just it's been really good. And if you are a running back away in Dynasty and you're a contender, I would give up my late 2021st to because at the end of the day, it's about winning the championship, right?
No, absolutely.
Shane, go ahead, because you did this deal essentially. You let
sold
go of Devonta Freeman,
and he's not a contending team though.
For Geis. Not a contending team, but I mean, still the same sentiment. You let the guy go. You see that he's doing much better than Geis. He might have been a hold for you instead of a sell. I mean,
so this happened in the preseason, and it was right when Geis retweaked himself, and the owner was just totally fed up. I knew that I wasn't really going to compete this year, so frankly, Devonta Freeman was useless on my team. So I was able to trade basically the Atlanta backfield. So it was Freeman and Ito Smith for Old Man AP and Darius Geis, which at the time seemed like a good deal. I'm still kind of happy with it. I mean, he's not the guy that I want to talk about today, but I mean, Darius Geis, he's starting to practice again. But we talk about the Scatman Crothers. Al, I feel like you're going to curse this poor guy, but I think we need to give him one more shot, more shot to come and prove what an amazing running back he really is.
Oh no!
Because I think next year Washington's going to be a different team. If Dwayne Haskins is under center, he's got a year of experience, just in an NFL system under his belt. Like Washington's in disarray right now, but that's not my buy. I like
Who's your buy?
My buy is a guy that I bought earlier in the season, and I would say his value is probably the lowest that it's going to be for a while. N'Keal Harry, actually, with the New England Patriots. So he was a first-round rookie pick. First time they've taken a wide receiver in the draft in the first round. They have high hopes for him. He didn't have as great of an off season as like a preseason as we would have thought. But when he did play, the game that he got injured in, he looked good. The catch that he got injured on, it was just like this beautiful comeback play, and he's starting to practice again. So, I mean, the one thing is, for this year, I don't think it's a good play, right? Because we know New England, as the season goes on, as it gets colder in Boston, in Foxborough, they run the ball more, and that's more of like a Sony Michel kind of thing. But next season, I think that N'Keal Harry, who I still think is the best wide receiver in the class coming out this year, he's going to step up and he's going to be a great player.
I was just going to ask, so it's weird. So, yeah, of course, I agree with you that N'Keal Harry would be an interesting player to buy, but he's one of those guys that's stuck in the middle because the owner paid a high first-round pick or a middle first-round pick for him, right? So are you going to give him his money back? Are you willing to give up a 2021 for him is the question, because that's what it would cost. So sure, the owner's going to want to get out from underneath it. He'll take his money back. But if you offer a 2022, they're not going to do it because they say, hey, I just paid pick 6 for him, pick 3 for him. Some people even took him at pick 1. I'm not
settle down. Says
I'm not going to take, and I'm not going to take him. I'm not going to take a second round pick for him. So unless you're willing to give the guy his money back, maybe a few pick discount. If you took him at pick 3 and you're going to have pick 6, sure. I just say that he's caught in the middle. You're going to have to pay a 2020 first to be right.
I would say, yeah. I mean, is he worth a first round pick? Probably.
Would you do it?
Would I do it? It'd be tough to pull that trigger, honestly.
Well,
because we have such a short term memory, right? We don't remember how good of a prospect he was. Right, all we remember, this is a guy who you
identified a great buy. Now tell the people how they can get him. Like, what do they need to like? What kind of?
I would try to do. We talked about it with like Christian Kirk last week. N'Keal Harry is the kind of guy that if you can go with like a second and maybe like a vet, like a Marvin Jones or something like that, I think that might be a savvy buy.
There you go.
Marvin Jones is a guy who, if you're in contention this year, then chances are you probably want to keep hang on to him, because I think that the Detroit Lions offense this year is the offense that I thought they were going to have last year, where they're actually throwing the damn ball. But if you're not really in contention, you don't think you've got a legitimate chance. Yeah, a guy like Marvin Jones could help somebody, and Alshon Jeffrey maybe throw an Alshon Jeffrey with a second. I think that would be something you should try to target with N'Keal Harry.
Dynasty buys have literally been all I've been spending my waking time on. Right now is the time. Guys are soured on specific people. They're high on others. You're high on who you got. If they've hit, the guys you didn't hit on, you're soured on. For me, one of the biggest sours is Damian Williams, and obviously it's bad. It's real bad news for me. Okay, but we're gonna get into some great news this week, guys, as we get into our top flex plays of the week. And I've got my first one here. Basically, this is all chalk for me until I get to my deep flex plays. Call it what you want, but the Lazard King is about going to be the only wide receiver available for Aaron Rodgers in a roster watch matchup that is top 5 against Oakland with the 47-point over-under. Now, a lot of people think that just means, hey, we're going to take the Lazard King and we're going to lock him down, which might be the case. But we all know from the Green Bay offense is that he peppers the number 1 target no matter what type of person it is. Doesn't matter who it is. Throw him in there, and that can work for you. So Allen Lazard, the Lazard King, went undrafted, 6'3", 225, runs just a very slow 4.55, but the guy can play. The guy has been known as a baller. He's not somebody that's going to wow you on tape, but he gets production, and he can be productive. Going all chalk this week with the Lazard King. Says your top flex play on the week.
What's also cool about Allen Lazard is also that you heard the stories that Aaron Rodgers asked for him to come into the game. You like that. You always like when Rodgers talks up a guy.
Whatever happened to Jake freaking Kumerow, Al?
He's starting. He's going to be the wide receiver 3 this week. I mean, he flamed out. He was over the summer. Rodgers like, give me some Jake Kumerow, and then quickly he was like, no more Jake Kumerow. There must be. And he's an older guy too. I think he's like he's 27, Kumerow.
Kumerow's a little bit older. Yeah. What the hell's with MVS? Like, is he dead? Is he ever going to be a thing?
I mean, I hope so. He's talented. I own him in a couple spots.
Well, that's the crappy thing about MVS or pretty much anybody on that offense. I think it's almost a merry-go-round.
Yeah, he's miscast. I think he would be like the perfect wide receiver 3 on a team. He's been forced into wide receiver 2 duties, and now with Devontae Adams out, he was almost the quasi number 1. It's just it's almost like asking some sort of middle management guy at a company to be the CEO. It just doesn't. Some people fit specific skill sets, and I think someone like MVS strikes me as like the perfect third receiver on a good team.
Do you know who MVS most reminds me of? Not like the guy, not the size, but you just basically told me the same exact story about a Golden Tate.
Yeah.
The guy is not a number 1 receiver.
No.
So why would you ever even, I mean, unless barring injury, but the guy's a number 2. I mean, he's probably a most effective wide receiver 3. The Seahawks had to use him as a wide receiver 1, and he produced. But he's not a wide receiver one, just almost as if Tyler Lockett, same thing. He's not a wide receiver one. DK Metcalf's the number one receiver on that team, but Tyler Lockett's the most efficient, most productive receiver on that team. So yeah, MVS, let's kick the can on this guy. He's out. Says number one flex play on the week. Let's go.
I'm looking at running back 38 on the year. His name is Chase Edmonds. He is.
Ooh, yes.
I think he's a real good play this week. He's been, in last year and the year before, he was kind of just a high yield handcuff, and he's been having some good standalone value, some double-digit points in the last few weeks. And when asked by a reporter, Cliff Kingsbury was shocked to learn that he only got him the ball in the second half a couple times after he had a dominant first half. And he made the point saying, my bad, we're going to feature Chase Edmonds a little bit more. And with David Johnson, every week you're kind of checking the injury report on him. You're not so sure. I think Chase Edmonds is basically a perfect zero RB play. I mean, he's been picked up over the last few weeks under waiver wire, but from DFS, who knows? But I like Chase Edmonds a lot, especially in a good matchup this week.
Yeah, this week, hold on, Shane, with the over-under from Roster Watch at 50.5 points, it's the 11th most best matchup on the week. Arizona, like you said, David Johnson nursing a back injury. So if you're up 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, why would David Johnson be in the game? It's just exactly like saying, why are you QB sneaking Mahomes with an injured ankle? Or, it's just like these just are things you shouldn't be doing. Chase Edmonds should be getting the entire second half workload. Up 35-0 in the first half, right, Seth?
Yeah, I've had some questions in the Slack chat, start him, sit him with Chase Edmonds and even some better running backs. I'm all in for him this week. I'm playing him everywhere I have him. I'm playing him over Austin Eckler in one league.
Dude, that's a great play. Shane, your first flex play on the week.
Okay, so it's a guy that his best friend is back in town, man, and he got 9 targets last week. But Jamison Crowder this week going up against the Patriots. I mean, we saw what Golden Tate did, going back to Golden Tate. Now that's when he went up against Jonathan Jones. So Crowder actually was covered mainly by Jones when they played, I think it was week 3. But obviously Sam Darnold wasn't in the game, right? So I think that Robbie Anderson is going to be covered. And I think that without a doubt, like Crowder's going to just feast. I think that he's probably going to get 10 to 12 targets at least. Probably going to be good for at least 7 receptions, 100 yards, and can almost book him for a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, that the Patriots are going to shift double coverage over to Robbie Anderson the minute he gets off the bus. I mean, like they're literally going to be covering him. With someone who
send security.
I mean, literally. I mean, from the time he steps off the bus into the hotel, they're going to have 2 guys following him. But I think that doesn't matter for a player like Robbie Anderson. I think that he's so fast that he could beat double coverage over the top. So I'm not too worried about that from the Jets' perspective. But you're right, Jamison Crowder.
Just like playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, it's just that Robbie Anderson's one of the fastest guys in all the NFL. Yeah. I mean, it's but you're right. I would say the over on targets is probably like 10 or 11, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got 17, Jamison Crowder.
And here's the thing about Bill Belichick. He will literally put his defenses in negative schemes just to test if they're ready. The idea about this game is lock down the guy on the outside and make them go to Jamison Crowder and see if your defense can cover him. It's week 7. Let's see if we can. If we can't, then we know we can make those adjustments now. And that just seems like a Bill Belichick thing to do. So let's see if we can get Crowder these dink and dunks. But if he gets 11 catches for 13 yards, then that's not really a big success.
That's 11 points in the PPR. 13 points are in
it's
the PPR.
It's a success for his fantasy week. Of course, we would love that. But that's a success on the Belichick side. Into round 2 of our flex plays, I am going with another very, very chalk matchup against the Miami Dolphins this week. Smokey John Brown. Okay, this guy is getting the targets. He is getting the catches. Everything, it's there. It's just not enough. It's not what you would love to see as a high-end flex play. But he has the opportunity. The offense is ready to go coming out of a bye week. So slot me in Smokey John Brown for at least a touchdown and 6 grabs. And at that point, you're good with whatever yardage he has. You're happy you put him in the flex, and you're ready to put your big, fat bicep up to maybe a FaceTime video to your friend while you're beating him, okay? Because that's how you flex on your league mates. You put your big, fat, turkey arm in his face, and you say, "What's up, Smokey John Brown? Smoke him if you got him."
Isn't John Brown like the perfect wide receiver for Josh Allen too?
It's the perfect. It's the perfect.
Yeah.
And he's also one of those receivers that you don't play, and then he's the number 3 receiver on a team. Put him on any team, any other team, receiver number 3. He is electrifying.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that does more for your real football team and really helps them out, stretches the field. Every team needs somebody like that. I mean, Deshaun Jackson being the epitome of that. And John Brown is.
Deshaun Jackson, boom, most comparable player to a Smokey John Brown. That's consensus amongst rankings. Says, who is your round 2 flex player on the week? Hit me.
You got it, man. I mean, somebody that we've talked about on this podcast quite a few times, both in a positive and negative light. But I'm taking a good hard look at Dante Pettis this week. San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, San Francisco.
No, I love it. I love it, but I hate it because Debo's on every one of my teams.
Well, Debo's hurt. I think Debo's.
I know.
Yes, Debo's hurt.
But I don't have Pettis because that didn't happen.
Yeah, well,
but
Pettis off to a slow start in his year 2. He seems to have found his way out of the doghouse a little bit for San Francisco. They're a pretty confident team right now. San Francisco going to a 1-5 Washington team. This could be the breakout game that you paid for with your 5th or 6th round pick, or if you took him later in draft season in the 8th round. Just when he's starting to look better each week. His targets are on the rise. I think that this is a good spot for a breakout. It's often that you need to pinpoint these things before they happen. It just feels like it could be a Dante Pettis breakout game.
Says, I need you to pull your shirt up right now and look at your belly, because that is a yellow-bellied person. You are so yellow-bellied. You've been taunting Marquise Goodwin's name all year, and where you could use him, where you could smoke him if you got him, is right here, and you go Dante Pettis. Tell me why.
Well, I think I outlined the reasons that early on in the season when, I pinpointed Goodwin, he's definitely had the connection with Garoppolo in his healthy seasons, but Dante Pettis was drafted in the 2nd round to be a player for them, and his targets have been on the rise. He's worked his way out of Kyle Shanahan's doghouse. Circumstances on the ground have changed. So when those circumstances change, I'm going to adjust along with them. And again, Pettis hasn't done much to distinguish himself. It just feels like this is a good spot against a terrible Redskins team that he could have the breakout game. I still maintain that Goodwin is Jimmy G's go-to guy. They've spread the ball around a lot. The only one you could start with confidence on the 49ers is obviously our man Kittle. But this is just a not so obvious start, and that's what these flex plays are, right?
So let me read you the RossWatch.com snap counts, targets, and touches for Dante Pettis last week. So he led receivers with 72% of the snap shares. He had 6 targets, 3 receptions for 45 yards. So not dazzling stats, but he's on the field.
And it's rising, and it's going up every week.
Exactly.
Well, we would like to hope so, guys. But if you're a Jimmy G holder and this week doesn't look good on the offensive side, unless the running back is Matt Breida and he's packing off 85-yard runs, if Jimmy G can't get the ball downfield in electric manner, your 49ers 5-0 or 6 or 5-0, I think they are, because I think they had the bye or something like that. I forget, but they are a team that I think everybody in the industry has them as pretenders. They are 5-0 pretenders, pretenders. They are a team that might lose twice to the Seahawks this year.
Oh my God!
So here we go again.
Who's that? Is that Ryan down
Brown?
there?
Yeah, that's Ryan. What's up, Ryan? Thank you for the comment.
He said he liked the Pettis call, so now I know it's doomed.
Exactly. He's listening to the Calgary Crow on that one.
Calgary Crow?
Yes. All right,
Big ass
Shane.
stretch.
Round two.
Okay.
Round two. Short time. Hit me.
All right. So a guy who is going to be participating in a game this week that we think is going to be a 55-point over/under at home in Atlanta. Give me one, Mohamed Sanu.
Can't hate on that.
No. Gosh.
No, listen, like
No.
he's getting targets every single week. Matt Ryan is on. He's literally in a historic pace where he has not had a game with under 300 passing yards yet this season. He doesn't have quite the touchdowns right now, and there are lots of plays, obviously, like Austin Hooper right now, obviously Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, but look, he's all reliable this week, and I've got him in a dynasty league, and I was kind of like humming and hawing. What am I going to do with this guy? I've pretty much been starting him every single week as one of my flex plays, and he's been coming through with a solid like 9-10 points every single week. You could do a hell of a lot worse, man. And then we saw that the Rams aren't exactly great at stopping some of these high-powered offenses.
They might be now.
Well, Jalen Ramsey's still dealing with the back issue, right? So is he actually going to play? I'm not sure if that's been determined yet. But
That was a phantom back issue is what I heard.
yeah, but and is Jalen Ramsey going to really be covering Mohamed Sanu?
Well,
Let
me give you a couple more interesting numbers on
Nuggets.
Mohamed Sanu. Yeah, Mohamed Sanu, he's wide receiver 36 on the year. So he's basically a wide receiver 3. Like you said,
Solid.
a steady Eddie, a guy you plug in your lineup. He actually has more fantasy points than Brandon Cooks, than
That hurts. Not for me because I
and
didn't draft him.
for obvious reasons. He has more fantasy points than Devontae Adams. I mean, from Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
It's steady,
I'm just saying, like, yeah, he's a guy you a non-sexy pick. You put him in your lineup as your wide receiver 3, and you're happy. Doesn't have the upside that some of those other wide receivers have, but as a flex play, as someone that's been sitting on your bench, I think you throw him in there. You need to balance out your lineup with some of these steady guys. I think it's a great call.
And there's 4 teams on this week, and it's a lot of these NFC South teams.
Yeah,
so a lot of
honestly, if you listen to the Flex Network, this week is hell. This week is hell.
Yeah.
Godwin is on bye. Christian McCaffrey is on bye. Curtis Samuel is on bye.
Kamara's hurt.
Who is it?
Kamara's hurt.
Kamara's hurt. Yeah, it's a tough week this week if you listen to the Flex Network. And we are going to have to survive with a Mohamed Sanu. Book it. Now we get into the third round. And, of course, the most important round, the deep flex plays on the week. And I will be going ahead and starting with my favorite quarterback in the entire NFL. Name him.
Gardner Minshew.
Thank you. Yes, it is Gardner Minshew, my favorite quarterback in the entire league. And says, since we're 1 for 1 on our lockup of the play, who is my flex play on the week from a Gardner Minshew led Jacksonville Jaguars?
I mean, who you pairing with? Is it DJ Shark?
Wrong. Who else? Shane.
Is it Chris Connolly?
Wrong. Shane.
Dede? He's on
Dede
mute.
Westbrook, you're on mute, Shane. But wrong. Dede Westbrook, wrong. Shane, you're on mute again.
That's all right. Some sort of scrubby tight end or Chris Connolly?
Josh Oliver.
Oh, yeah.
The rookie tight end from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Josh Oliver is back to make his
Josh Oliver?
Josh Oliver.
What happened? Ow.
Shane missed
I'm
it.
gone for a minute.
I know.
Gone for a minute and he missed the Josh Oliver play. He's gone for a minute and I took this entire train and I drove it right off the rails. Rookie tight end, pull up his metrics.
No,
pull these up.
He's good,
He's
man.
He's stud. He's a stud.
He's a good player. He's a good.
And who was a serviceable tight end while Josh Oliver was out and Gardner Minshew was passing to O'Shaughnessy?
Yep.
No. Look at this guy. He looks like Evan Ingram. Is that Evan Ingram? 6'5", 250, runs a 4.63. Get out of here. This guy's got upper percentile speed score.
I like it.
This guy's the potential for a touchdown this week in your flex play, even in your deep dynasty leagues, like of course I have him in a mine to pair with my Gardner Minshew pick. So get the hell out of here. I was in on the Jags pre-Baby Shark, okay, but not with Baby Shark. So I just got to count for something, right? Not anything. All right, let's do this. Josh Oliver for a touchdown this week. Book it. Says round 3 deep flex. Let's rain dance.
Yeah, again, it's not so sexy this week. I mean, it's I try to find something that's actually usable for the people, and Frank Gore. I mean, Frank Gore is. You know why?
Hey.
They're
Play the song.
Go ahead. They're playing the Miami Dolphins, and that's why. That's the reason. I mean, the running backs do well against the Miami Dolphins. And now I know Devin Singletary's off the injury report, and he's playing. So
is he starting? Is Devin Singletary going to get the start? Yes or no?
I'm not 100% sure, but Statsational, who I do the Geeks Vegas Geeks Vegas Lines pod with, his model has his model has Devin Singletary going off on the yardage, almost to the point where he had to take a second look at the model because it's too much yardage. But I think Frank Gore. Because Devin Singletary wasn't available. He wasn't even available for trade. Like the Singletary owners held him. Frank Gore was a gettable piece in a week where running back is thin. There's a lot of guys hurt. I think you could trade for Frank Gore. I think he was on the waiver wire. You could play him if he's sitting on your bench. Again,
bag of peanuts.
He's playing. In Dynasty, you could probably give definitely a second round pick. I mean, the owner would throw a second round pick, take a second round pick in a heartbeat for him. Probably can get him for a third. I just think against the Dolphins this week, every running back has had success. I would play Frank Gore this week.
Frank Gore in a deep flex play on the week with buys at season long says. It's not at season long.
I'm just going to say my 2 cents here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, I don't even think he's a deep play. Like I literally benched Damian Williams for Frank Gore in one of my leagues this week. Because it's just you got to play that matchup, man. And because he was coming off his bye week, he was available. So hell, I picked him up off the wire. Boom, right into my lineup.
Very reasonable take right there. Yeah, I don't think I don't think it's anything too crazy. I think it's boring. It's but again, he's one of these players that's not 90% owned. He's like 78% owned in fantasy leagues.
He's bionic as well. So Frank Gore as your deep flex this week. Flex Shane, run this puppy home. Who is it in your deep just so where it lives?
I'm so glad you said for me to run it home because I'm going to pull him up right here because he's going to run a couple balls from the backfield. Home today, Tavon Austin. Dallas Cowboys.
Play the song.
They're listing him as a running back now. He's no longer a wide receiver.
He dual listed as a running back / wide receiver in a number of leagues.
Alien looking mofo.
Look, the Cowboys got him as like a gimmicky receiver in previous years.
5'8", 174, drafted in the first round.
Yes, he was a spark freak. Look at that speed score, 4.34.
If you remember when he got drafted, it was like he was going to take the Rams organization home by himself.
It was crazy.
He was like the greatest draft pick the Rams have ever had in their life. I remember when he got drafted. I loved it. Go ahead. Tavon Austin. Now, who's injured?
Oh, Amari Cooper, of course.
Amari Cooper injured. Who else has got a questionable designation this week potentially? Gallup.
Okay. Gallup's going to play.
He's going to play, but is he going to be effective? Tavon Austin this week, baby, could be wildly effective in the number one matchup on the week. I was going to say,
who do they play this week?
Philadelphia. They suck in the secondary. They suck.
You play.
Who are they guarding deep?
I'm excited for it, man. Like
nobody.
If you've got a couple of GPPs and you're playing that Sunday night contest, you got to throw them in there, right? Like, I don't play a lot of the 1 game slate ones, but if you got that captain slot, why not throw Tavon Austin in there? Who knows, right? Could win you $1 million.
Tavon
Austin, you like it? Do you love it? Do you want some more of it?
It's certainly a deep play. I could see it happening. He's gonna get opportunities. Props to you, Shane.
All right, with our deepest flex plays of Frank Gore, Tavon Austin, and Josh Oliver, we will be signing off for another week of the Flex Network's Flex Finder podcast. Please find us on Sunday morning with Byron Lambert from Roster Watch as we have our Start Sit show coming to you at a new time of, what time is it again?
11 a.m.
11
No,
a.m. Eastern.
Is it, or was it six? I thought we were going to do 45, like a 6:45 to what?
It'll be around 11 a.m.
I would say
That's what time it is. Around
we'll tweet it out.
11
up,
11 to 12. You can ask your start sets. If we come on a little earlier to BS with the people a bit, so that's bonus time.
11 to 12 a.m. Eastern time with Byron Lambert from @Roster Watch. Go get a pro membership on your way over to the Flex Network Start Sit show. We are a nation. Thank you guys so much for joining us. One underneath me at Alan Seslowski. One to the side of me at Sealy_Shane. We are the Flex Network.